Hello, everybody. I almost said hello, Facebook. We are not on Facebook. I don't know if you noticed that. How's everybody doing today? I am popping up here. Might not be able to give much notice each day as to what time we're going to go live, just because live video every day is kind of a feat for me to accomplish. So I don't do it often. And when I do, it's helpful if I can kind of adjust the time based on how my day is going. But it's so exciting to be here with you guys all week. I just had this urge to do some like special extra stuff this week. We've got so many beautiful floral things. I've got so many inspirational ideas for our products. And although I love featuring our curated collections, and that tends to be the focus of a lot of our live videos that we do on Wednesdays, I didn't have one scheduled this week, and I don't know, everything just kind of like fell into place. So I hope this ends up being a fun week for you guys with maybe some Mother's Day jewelry inspiration, maybe just a way to use something that you've gotten from us previously. And I mean, goodness knows if you end up feeling inspired and needing something to work on for like the spring and summer, you can definitely order what we're working with and give it a whirl. Today, I am going to show you guys, I've got to get my other camera turned on real quick, but I do have the May collection of our companion bundles for the curated collections. So those are live and ready to order starting today. And I'm going to be working with just a couple of things. You're going to get a glimpse of how to use some of these items and then a sneak peek of maybe a couple seed beads from the collection. So normally you guys don't see those things until after they've shipped, but I'm going to pull all this out and let's see here. All right. I make sure I've got everything to show you guys. If you're out there watching, say hi. I'd love to hear from you and know what you're up to. But I don't know what I'm looking for. I guess I have everything right here for the time being. Okay, so let's see here. All right. Get this all set up here. Oh, goodness. I don't know what. There we go. Had some updates on like various devices recently. So like my point of sale at the store and my phone and some of my apps on my computer even are looking different than they did just not that long ago. I think I've got a couple of things I need to grab. So I'm going to step away really quick. I'll be right back. I'm going to put a little banner up so everybody will know. But So sorry about that, guys. Hi, Susie. Good to see you. All right. I think is that Susie from Jackson, Susie, or a different Susie? Hey, Becky. Sorry to keep people waiting. Oh my gosh. I swear, some days I have like lots of my act together, and some days I have like zero of my act together, even though I try so hard. All right. There we go. All right. Things are starting to get figured out here. So back to what we were chatting about. Jackson, Susie. Yay. Hi, Lori. So I'm so glad that I caught some of you guys on the fly. I was just showing off, and I need to pull it up on my computer so that I can give you guys the link just in case. But I have the latest companion bundles here in front of me, and there is almost the link. So the fire polish is going to include, normally I just do strands, but these fire polish, I think they're like a 20 millimeter or 15, they might be a 15 millimeter, but they're very large. They have white and crystal running through them. Hi, Juanita. And then a beautiful selection of 7 other strands. So you get 7 strands in this bundle with the 3 large, like focally sort of sized fire polish. And then the pressed and table cut glass is a mix of, and you can kind of see where this collection is going, right? We've got a beautiful check glass button, may or may not have been in a previous companion bundle. I don't even care because it's so pretty. It has like a very geometric, almost Art Deco sort of floral look to it. So I think it would be really fun with the things we're doing this week, as well as the color scheme for the May subscriptions. And then we've got this table cut bead, which I am going to be working with today, hopefully. And our little leaf strand, that'll be perfect for spring and summer. This shape, I might have even included this specific color in another bundle before, but we love this sort of shield shape. A mixed strand of pinch beads, which is going to go so well with so much of this collection. And that white and crystal color that you saw in those large fire polish beads, but in a pressed rectangle. And like the shape makes the color so interesting to me, like that. Like the white is dragging through the crystal. I don't know if that kind of makes sense to you guys, but these are kind of separate from the plot of what we're doing this week, but I ended up really being inspired by a few of the beads that I pulled for the companion bundles. So I've linked those here. If you guys are new, this is part of what coordinates with our subscriptions we do every month. And while the subscriptions are 3 months at a time, so the May subscriptions have already been purchased and set up, you will be able to potentially purchase parts of the subscriptions after they've shipped to our subscribers. Subscriptions and subscribers. I feel like when I talk about these things, I have to repeat those words a lot. Sorry. So right here, I should have brought this up to the screen. I used this little mix of beads as my like preview photo for this video. And I have this idea, let's see, how are we doing on time? I have this idea of something I saw in costume jewelry, really, I think more wire and stringing, like wire and chain based, but I want to try to use stitching and seed beads to emulate the look. Like it would have been somewhat easy to just string everything onto some soft flex, which I'll kind of explain the concept of how that would be an option too. Once I get some stuff set up. Thanks, Lori. So the mix is not really a mix like that I'll be selling, but the fire polish and the pressed glass are part of the companion bundles that I just showed you guys that are linked in the comments. And then the flowers are already listed on the website and like all the colors that we offer, which is like, I want to say 24 or so. I have frozen shoulder and I just like, extended a little further than I should have. If I look pained, that was why. But I am working with, and I meant to get this listed before I started the video. I might have some on the website already. If you don't see our wildfire thread, this is one of our favorite threads in the 10 pound specifically. And the beige color is what I'm working with today. So if you need some in your life, let me know because I've got it available. It's just one of those things that we've always carried in the store, haven't always added to the website, and need to get that cross promoted there. So I've added some O beads and some teacup beads to my tray. Or my mat, I guess it really isn't a tray. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet, but I'll show you guys. The general concept is that I'm going to string a strand of the beads that are going to be like the main branch of the bracelet. Hi, Barbara. And then I will go like around one end of my clasp at the end of that strand and turn and go back through and do some extra things in certain spots and then go through other beads without doing anything. So you guys will know what I mean in a minute. But I do need to grab myself a clasp. I also think that this would be a really cute earring concept. Like I think you could use the general idea with a necklace too, but I think there's some possibilities for earrings. Our favorite ball and socket clasps, if you just search ball and socket on the website, I won't separately link that right now, but it's a really awesome clasp. I might need a few other seed beads too. So right now I have size 6 seed beads, 4mm fire polish, these pressed glass beads, which are maybe like an 8x12, if I had to guess. And I'm tying a knot onto one end of my clasp and leaving like about 6 inches of thread because this is just going to be the beginning of the bracelet. So I want to do one size 6 and a flower. And these are my 14mm boho flowers. There's a larger, maybe 18mm listed. Can't find the hole there. Hey, Jody. Aw, so good to see everybody. Gosh, you guys are awesome popping on here without hardly any warning. So here's what the idea is behind this. And we'll see. I'm going to put a seed bead on either side of that flower. Again, we're stringing like a strand of beads that will be like the central part of the bracelet. Then we'll go back through and like add some kind of texture in spots. And this original concept I saw was with like a set of stones and some chain and some like stringing. So here we've got, I'm putting on 3 of these table cut beads and I'm adding an O bead in between each one of those table cuts. And I'll show you guys what I do as I go along. Since this is like experimental, it might not be the way it ends up. I might have to redo it. And then once I do that, here's the deal. I'm going to add one of my size 6 and then an O bead. And then I'm going to alternate between those two to make a little section. This is where I will end up adding texture with other beads when I come back through for my second pass on the bracelet. But this is just like every other bead is going to be either a 6 or an O bead. And this is like pretty arbitrary as far as how I'm adding the sections. And then the other thing about this is I'm going to size it to be a little bit loose on my wrist, because adding multiple passes and going in and out of this first section of beads might end up tightening the bracelet a little bit, but I'll have to do it to see, and then you guys will get the end results after the fact. So I think the best way for me to handle these videos, since I'm not walking in with like a surefire plan, is I'm just looking at the length of this section here. I think it will work out nicely to show you guys the concept, make sure it's working well, and then I will probably, once you've seen any aspects of the design, I will finish the project after the video and then give you guys the what finalized supply list and any other tidbits, a finished picture, but that will be in our Beads in Progress Facebook group. So the Beads in Progress Facebook group is a group created by Beads to Live By, and it is a place where it's just intended for sharing things you've done either with our products or projects that we've shared or that our friends have shared using our products. But it's great for things like this for me, because I can give you guys a place to land with information like this after I've done a live. So watch there for updates throughout the week if there's like something that wasn't a project that could be completed during the live video, but perhaps, just needed some finishing. And then that way too, again, since I don't have a completed supply list for you guys, since I don't exactly know everything I'm going to do yet, we will add all that information there. So I just want to see about where I'm at with my length. Okay, good. I was afraid I was going to run out of space before I finish what I want to do here. Just have to decide, because I really want to see a certain amount of certain colors and certain lengths of sections, even though I don't really have a specific plan. So I really want to add 5 or at least 4. I don't want to do the same amount of these in both spots. So that is why I'm fussing with this a little bit right now, but we'll see. I'm going to do at least 4 here and then get back to, and I can't decide. I know I'm going to use one more flower, but I don't quite know which color and when I want to incorporate it. So I think we might have our answer here. So the other part of this bracelet design that I was inspired by is that it was very asymmetrical, and that was, I think, part of its charm. It was fairly simple too, so that's the other reason I'm really trying to be careful with my placement of things. I don't want to make this too busy. This is the matte metallic gold or flax color. I don't remember which word I used for the O beads. And then if I end up incorporating the teacups, I'll make sure and list that color in the supply list after the fact. What is everybody up to this week? Anybody getting tacos tonight? Oddly enough, I think we're getting Italian or pasta at one of our favorite local places, but they make a killer margarita. So I guess that's the part that's going to come into play there. Well, I didn't end up with as many flowers as I was hoping to, because I really am pretty much at the end of this lengthwise. I don't want to add a whole other flower because that'll be too much. So I think what I'm going to do is figure out how many of the 6s and O beads I used in the previous section, and I'll just end with that same quantity just to have some consistency somewhere. I'll kind of mirror the length there. And I was a little worried. It felt a little tight on my wrist, to be honest, but all right. These flowers, the 14mm boho colors, come in packages of 4 of any individual color. So I'm going to leave this here for a second and pull some of my other seed beads, and you guys can just peek at, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 size 6 seed beads with O beads between them in those sections. The amount of things you use in some of these spots will depend on the size of your beads if you're like changing it up. And it will also depend on the length of your wrist, or the circumference of your wrist. So I think, oh goodness. Let me pull all my colors over here and see sort of off camera what is going to go best. Because I don't want to ruin the surprise for everybody. You guys are going to want to see your subscriptions for the first time in the mail, right? Aw, thanks, Jody. Again, this is like, there's some additions. This is not just the subscriptions, because this week was more about working with our floral beads, or like, you know, creating floral themed jewelry. But there's definitely a few subscription items here and there. So that's getting worked in a little bit. Oh goodness. I went to take a drink and like kind of tilted my glass a little too fast. Thanks, Becky. Gosh, you know, you guys bring up a great point with your comments right now that you guys could easily string something up like this on a flexible wire and just be done with it. As far as like, it's a great design in and of itself, but I have some plans. So I am going to take my needle and go back through this end of my bracelet. I want to be able to keep some tension here. So this is the side of the clasp that I did not use yet. And I really, I don't want to pull everything tight just yet. I basically want to be able to make a knot on this end of the bracelet, because I really want to keep the, you know, it doesn't have to be like so tight that it's gonna create issues, which I feel like I'm trying to do. But you do want some tension against your project a little bit. There we go. All right, just trying to make sure, since I'm here by myself, I don't want to miss your guys' comments either. So as I'm making these knots, I'm just going back through the whole of the clasp. And the other thing you could probably do is you could probably also do that first strand on like a fine soft flex, and then sneak in with the wildfire after the fact. That might be a nice way to go about this also. So I'm going to, once I've tied some knots on that end of the clasp, I'm going to come through just the 6. So in this part, my intention is to skip the O beads and only go through the size 6 seed beads. And I'm going to start by trying to use the 4mm fire polish. And I've got a little size 15 on the end of my needle that's just going to kind of blend in with everything. So once you've done that, I'm going to skip that 15 and go back through the 4mm and the size 6 after the O bead. Jody, I know those clasps are like just the bomb, right? Oh, hi, Elizabeth. Totally missed saying hello to some of my friends here. So the result is that you have this little like bead that pops off to the side there. The design would work by stringing standards and using a head pin to create a little dangle with your 4mm and then stringing that like dangle that's made separately onto the work, or using sections of chain, like I said, was kind of what it looked like they did in the inspiration piece. So again, I add 1 4mm, 1 15, and I skip the 15 going backwards through the 4mm and then through the size 6. Oh, thanks, Becky. I appreciate that. I'm so glad you're able to join us today. What my hope is that they'll like dangle various directions, but this might not be my last pass through the bracelet. I might go turn around and come back over. So for now, I'm going to be consistent and just use these 4mm and the 15s to do this one spot at a time, because I want to kind of get a feel for what that's going to look like before I choose to add other things or more of these, if that like makes any sense to you guys. But this kind of has like a leafy vibe to it. It's part of the reason I was attracted to this design for this particular series this week. And I love getting together with my friends like Becky Foster, for example. If you're not following her YouTube channel, you definitely need to be. And it's so amazing that all of these incredible designers sit and make beautiful things with our beads. But I haven't been really doing a lot of stuff for these videos lately. So it's really fun just to pop on for a few days and do a little bit of beading myself. So yeah, this is gonna give you some nice dangly texture. And because of the way that we're adding these, it's not so like stiff and rigid that there won't be some movement. And I want the movement. I want to emulate that style that would exist with the head pin version of the design. And then once I go through that last size 6 before the other beads, I'm going to go ahead and go through all the beads, because you're working with check glass. Even though this thread is strong and sturdy, this will help give body and reinforce your areas where there's heavier, bigger beads on it. And you could add other little dangles like along where those O beads are, but at this point, I am going to skip that idea. So then at this spot, I'm going to go through those beads, and they'll be coming out where I need to be for my next set of dangles. The dangle section. I know, Becky, I love a good dangle too. We've got lots of actual dangle shaped things. I've got one project inspiration idea that would involve, I might need to work on it a little bit the day before I do it live, because it would involve making a small flower out of other beads. And I don't want to make you guys sit through the design process there, but we're just skipping that O bead again and all of that good stuff. But so really nice. I just saw that the spring Pantone color is like this buttery yellow color, which is definitely featured in some things that we have going on over the next week. So, I just started talking about that color and picked up a size 6 accidentally. The teacups could be incorporated sitting around the flowers. I kind of wish I had kind of flanked the flowers with a teacup on either side. I don't wish it so much that I'm going to go back and add them, but I might involve them in my next set of dangles because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to stop with one layer of dangles, but we'll see. I'll set that down so you guys can kind of see the design so far. I don't know what I was expecting when it came to the layout. I hadn't plotted out how and when I was going to add however many of the, got a little knot on my thread, sorry. The layout of where the flowers would go and how many of the specific pressed glass would go on when. So I didn't have a preconceived idea about that, but the general feel and texture of how these dangles are turning out and the overall vibe of the bracelet is totally doing it for me. And I'm sharing that because when you sit down to do something for the first time and you haven't actually worked through it yet, the design process is not something that's a guaranteed situation where you're going to be happy with the way that it looks. Just now looking at the bracelet, I can see that I, could have put the teacups on in the first row and it would have looked really nice, but we are going to be okay. I've got a bit of a plan. We'll see. We'll see how we like it. All right, just again to show you guys how easy it is to skip those O beads and get that dangle situation taken care of. It is so surreal to sit here and work with some of these types of beads. And now I've watched the process of making them and that I get to go back in October and visit our friends that manufacture these products. I'm incredibly grateful. I can't wait to share all of that process with you all and talk about that. Thanks, Jody. They are like little leaves. So I'm at the end of the bracelet. I think another pass is going to be really good for my tension. And I'm going to go through, I came out of the size 6. I'm going through the clasp end. And then I'm going to go back down through a handful of beads there. You could tie a knot where your tail thread was there. I don't really want a lot of bulk on the end of where the clasp is because I think that'll show in the finished design, but more so than I want it to at least. And for the record, on the topic of the trip to the Czech Republic, I do believe that we have space for, at this point, 1 double occupancy room and 1 single occupancy. So if anyone was desperate to go, we left a few spots in the mix there. So if you're not overzealous like me, this looks really lovely the way it is. I wouldn't necessarily think it needs a whole nother layer of anything, but I am really tempted to see what another layer looks like. And these are not different enough really to warrant changing the fire polish. So we'll keep using the one that we were using potentially. Becky Foster's like, stop what you're doing. Put the needle down. It really is kind of nice like this. I really wanted to throw those teacups in there, but this might be I just reinforce the middle one more time and tie off my thread. Becky's just like, LOL. Because the other option is to put a little extra sparkle in there, which I wouldn't really even use those teacups with. Yeah, I think I'm just going to reinforce the middle, call it a day. This is a great technique in and of itself, and I'm not going to sully it with too much extra stuff. Oh, thanks, Lori. You know, I really should have pulled up. I will pull up the link for the flower beads here real quick because it would behoove me to, oh, and then I didn't hit the right button. So these are the boho flowers, and we have two different listings, maybe. Yes. There's the 4-piece listing, and then there's some strands of the strands are totally different colors from the 4-piece listing. So I'm dropping the 4-piece listing just because then you can get like a handful of different colors without committing to like a really tragic bead bill. But if you guys go through and place like 2 orders or something this week, like if you watch a video today and then you watch a video in a couple of days and you go, oh gosh, I really want those beads, I won't probably ship anything until like the weekend or the very beginning of next week. And if you guys place more than 1 order, I will happily combine the shipping. If you're a subscriber, you can use your code, the sub add-ons code, and then that will be included with your subscription order for no additional shipping charge at all. So there's a couple options. You can like place multiple orders this week, and I'll just make sure that they get combined when they get shipped. Or you can just use your sub add-ons coupon code for the subscriptions, and then they'll ship with that order, which I just realized I don't have the screen for that. Lori, did I read your mind? I think some of you were probably going, I wonder how I know what I'm going to want to purchase. You know, I've just been doing this long enough. I had a suspicion. So, I'm going to go through. Okay. So I went all the way to the other end of the clasp, just down the middle of the beads. I went through that end of the clasp. And I'm going to go through just a couple of my beads. You guys have seen me tie this knot probably a million times before, but I'm going underneath of the threads that are inside of those beads with my needle. And then as you pull it through, you create a loop with your new thread that you're working with currently, the part of the thread you're working with. And then when you go through that loop, you pull it tight, and that creates what we call a half hitch knot. So needle under the thread, pull slowly to get that loop of your thread that you're working with, and then go through the loop with your needle. I do this twice in the same spot, regardless of whether I'm showing people how to do it or not. That was like purposeful. I always do that type of a move because that's how I ensure that my knot will hold. And then I go through a few more beads before I trim with my super sharp thread cutters that we carry. And they're super sharp, but they have one prong of the ends that has a straight sharp edge, and one prong has a serrated edge. And that serrated edge grips while the smooth edge slices that thread. I am telling you, it's a game changer. There are so many beading threads that I have never been able to cut cleanly without really pulling on them and holding them tight against my project. And I do that by default now anyways, but maybe with this end, I can show you guys, if mine are not dull, how you can just literally hold up a piece of thread and snip it, and it's cut cleanly wherever you cut it. So all right, I'm going to just take this tail and do a similar move to what I did at the other end of the project and just give ourselves a extra, can tell I'm not used to working with thread on videos these days because I'm getting a little squirrely there. All right. So we're just gonna give ourselves a couple knots right near the not far away from the clasp, but then I'll just still go through one more bead. But that way that end of your bracelet is well enforced and reinforced. All right, that's right. I'm going to show you guys how this cuts so cleanly. Don't let me down, cutters. So I'm going to get in there. And that was a good, cut, but I wasn't close enough. There. Snip that puppy right off. It's so good. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is exactly what I was looking for. I'm so excited about it. I'll post a finished picture in our group Beads in Progress that I was telling you all about on Facebook. And then a little description of the supply list and maybe some links and stuff just to try and make the shopping part of this really easy. But it just, sometimes plans just work out the way that you are hoping they do. So I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. And especially for those of you that are in different time zones, I know this is a little earlier than we usually do live videos. I might do some morning stuff this week. I might do some later evening stuff. It'll just kind of depend on how my days go and how much I can plan in advance for what I need to share with you all. But thank you again for being here and supporting us. It means the absolute world. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for another fabulous project. So you'll have to wait and see. I don't have a plan yet. I have a bunch of sketches and a bunch of beads I want to work with, and that's about as far as I've gotten. So thanks, guys. Have a great evening, and appreciate you being here. Bye.